this video is probably going to be a long video. It's about after my surgery, so I'm just going to start straight into it. I got stronger and stronger every day since surgery. I was like managing to pick things up more and walk around more and just do more things and getting stronger and healthier. 5 days after my surgery, I got admitted to hospital because I had a migraine. I had a really, I was screaming and crying. I had to be in bed. I was vomiting. Called my GP and he came out to see me and like took my blood pressure and stuff, and he was worried because obviously I only had surgery 5 days ago. Well, not 5 days ago, a week and 5 days ago. I'd only come out of hospital for 5 days, so he was worried about that. So he phoned the hospital and was like, yeah, she's coming in to A&E, like the ER room, and my parents took me in, and it was a migraine. It was nothing to do with the GI, but because I just had surgery, he wanted to make sure. I had a CT scan on my head, and I had chest x-ray. I had a lumbar puncture, which is when they take fluid from your spine. They stick a needle in your spine and take fluid from your head, check if I've had a bleed to the head. And they shoved needles in my veins, in my wrists, like my artery, because to check for blood clots in my lungs, because apparently that's the vein that connects to like the, I don't know, something like that. Nothing was found, but they found that in my blood test, that I had an infection somewhere in my body. So they took me to have an abdominal CT scan, and there they found a collection of fluid, which is also known as an abscess. My heart rate was very high, and that's why they thought, okay, she has an infection, and showed up in my blood they had an infection. So I got transferred by an ambulance, which is my first time in an ambulance, to my usual hospital that I had my surgery done under, because this was like my local hospital that I went to A&E for. And the surgeon that did my surgery in January, not my major surgery, just the like little keyhole thing, he was going to open up my incision in my non-existent butt area and stick a drain up and drain this abscess, and I would be under general anaesthetic, so I would not know, and then sew my butt back up as normal. He came to see, so I was like, okay, that's scary, okay, so this is going to happen on Saturday morning. So he came to see me Saturday morning, and I was sitting in bed, and I was like, hey, when are we going for the surgery then? You know, I didn't have any symptoms of like feeling unwell. I felt fine. My migraine went the next day after I got admitted in A&E. I felt fine, and he was like, oh, that's strange. If you had an infected abscess, you would not be feeling fine. You would not be sitting there. So he was like, okay, I don't think this is infected. I think it's just a collection of just like yuckiness, like in your body build up. I don't think it needs draining. So he went, and he was like, okay, keep an eye on you, and you can go the next day. So I left the next day, and that was fine. That was like, okay, waste of time. I've wasted everyone's time. So in September next, I had an appointment with my regular surgeon when I did my ostomy, like stoma surgery, whatever, Panproctocolectomy surgery. And it was a week and a half later that I told him about this abscess that I had, and I told him the whole story, and I told him that I was in a lot of pain. It was shooting pains that I had, and he said that's probably nerve pain, and I was like, ugh, it's really painful, because I had lots of shocks, and I was like, ooh, all the time, and I was like screaming out all the time. I told him about this, and then he said he wants me to get the abscess drained. So I went down to the x-ray department, radiography department, and I got my abscess drained via CT. So they basically, I was awake, but they injected me in the lower back bum area with local anaesthetic and to numb the area, and they stuck this huge tube drain thing, needle thing, into my butty bum place and drained this abscess under CT so they could see what they were doing, and nothing drained out of it. So I was like, what the hell, what? And I asked the doctor that was doing it, and he said, oh, it's probably just a collection of blood that will just disperse into your body and it'd be fine, it'll just go away by itself and your body will handle it. So we're going to put you on IV antibiotics, so you should be able to go home, like, you know. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I was like, fine. So I went on antibiotics in case of infection, and then my surgeon came and he was concerned about my heart rate, because my heart rate was at 140 when it should be in the 90s, and I was like, oh, really? So I had to stay in even longer. Whilst they tested my blood, they tested my urine, they gave me IV fluids in case I was dehydrated, they tested me for overactive thyroid, etc. and lots of different things. And everything came back normal, I was fine. And then I saw my pediatric consultant on a Monday, and he told me that I had to have all these different scans because he was very, very concerned about my heart. So I had a ultrasound scan on my heart, I had a chest x-ray, I had a lung x-ray, and everything came back normal, and they discharged me a few hours later. So I had 6 days there in hospital, or 7 days, 6 to 7 days. They found nothing. My heart was very high still. So from September until October, I started getting more and more pain. When I ate, drank, anything, I started, I started vomiting. I was in extreme abdominal pain, and I was vomiting, and I had a appointment with my surgeon, and he was like, oh, okay, this is worrying. So he gave me a CT scan, and that showed nothing, basically. I went back to see him to talk about the results of that CT scan, and he told me that there's nothing in the CT scan. And by this point, I was I was vomiting a lot more, and I was in a lot of pain. And I was crying, well, I was almost crying to him, saying, this is so painful, why am I feeling like this? I thought that, you took my colon rectum out and gave me this bag, and I thought everything would be fine. And now I'm in a lot of pain, like nothing's changed. I still feel exactly the same as I did before. What's going on? And he admitted me because of pain and sickness, basically. So I put on a lot of pain meds and a lot of anti-sickness meds. And in this admission, I had an endoscopy, I had an MRI scan, I had an abdominal x-ray, and they all showed nothing, except the MRI scan showed there was a tiny amount of Crohn's in my small intestine. But the doctors all said that this should not be causing me all the sickness and pain because it was so small. From like November till December, I was crying and screaming every day. I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat. I dropped down to my lowest weight of 6 stone 5, which is 89 pounds or 40 kilograms. And it was just, I could not eat, I could not sleep, I could not walk, I could not move. I just laid there basically and cried every day because I was in so much pain and vomiting. In December, it was like a few days before Christmas, like 3 days before Christmas, I had a barium x-ray. And then in January 2015, so this is this year, this is last month, I had an MRI scan, and then I had an appointment with a new doctor because my normal gastroenterologist was not available, and so she was like, okay, you're gonna have a meeting, you're gonna have an appointment with me. And I was like, okay, on the phone. And I went to that appointment. It was the end of January, I think it was the 23rd of January if I'm not mistaken. I went to that appointment in a wheelchair because I was so underweight and weak, and I was so awful. And then I told my mother, I was waiting in the waiting room, and I said to my mother, I'm going to be sick. So she wheeled me to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom and I vomited, and I passed out. I completely passed out. My body basically shut down in my mother's arms. My mother pulled emergency cords in the bathroom, and loads of nurses and doctors came in. So January to February, this is my last hospital admission. They took me to an examination room, gave me IV fluid straight away, and I was on IV steroids. I was on a lot of anti-sickness and painkillers. I was on a lot of mixture of drugs, and I swelled up because of the steroids, and I didn't have knuckles, I didn't have ankles, I didn't have elbows. I was so swollen and it was so painful. And but yeah, basically then the plan was to give me my NG tube, place my NG tube and give my bowel a complete rest, because Crohn's has decided to come back and attack my small bowel. So yeah, that was not very good. I'm not very pleased at all about that. So now I am not eating anything and I'm having an NG tube feeds, as you could probably hear my little friend by the side of me here making a lot of noise. So now I've started methotrexate self-injections weekly, and I'm on steroids still, and yeah, everything, now that I'm not eating anything, everything's going great. I'm feeling so much better. It's been 3 weeks actually, it's been 2 weeks. I'm supposed to be on it for like 6 to 10 weeks. I feel amazing. I have so much energy. I've been doing so much, and it's crazy. I've had my life back in these 2 weeks, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's like I really am scared about going back to eating food, because food is what's causing problem, because my intestine is so inflamed, my small intestine is so inflamed that it's causing narrowing, so food cannot pass through it. So I'm very worried. But yeah, I'm so worried about going back to eating food, and I hope that things will continue, because this is supposed to calm my Crohn's down in my small intestine by not having any food pass through it, and obviously giving myself the methotrexate injections. Yeah, so hopefully that will calm everything down, but only time will tell. So yeah, thank you for watching. This has been my Crohn's disease journey, my ileostomy journey, and my NG tube journey. It is great. I love it. I feel like I don't want to eat food ever again. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and this will be updated when the next thing happens. Thank you.